Gixer, I don't know what's going to happen on the defensive side of the ball. I think that the offense is going to be great. Like you look at the offense, I don't see any significant weakness on the offensive side of the ball. And like so many people coming back, especially Caleb coming back, like that's just going to be a roaring machine. And it's all about the defense being able to, moderately improve such that, 46-45 and 43-42 losses become, 45-35, 45-31 type wins. And, we just need to see the proof. We just need to see the things that Tim's mentioned, the strength training, the year 1 to year 2 transition, those natural organic processes set in. And also, with like Romello Height, with Domani Jackson, guys who were injured but got coached up, got exposure to what Grinch was doing, being able to play more this season. Like that is added depth, added bodies, and added knowledge. That really, to me, is how the pieces can fit together for USC.
One thing, though, we were propping up the offensive line, talking about how big they are, how great. We have to remember, though, the one really solid coach, I think, from the previous group of guys that we had in here was Clay McGuire, what he did in that 1 year with the offensive line. He really put this line together. Finally had an air raid type offensive line guy that knew how to coach it up the proper way, and they made long strides. And that was a veteran group on that. Those 5 dudes played a lot of reps together. They knew, 5, 6, they're like 6 deep actually. So those 6 guys played a lot of reps together. Although we're bringing in some big, talented guys from all over the country, that it takes time to mesh as a unit. Of all the position groups, it's your secondary and your offensive line. They really got to be able to read each other. They have to know what to do. And the line calls you're going to have as talented as you have. Losing Nealon, and who's a guy making the line calls, calling everything out. He's your quarterback on the line, and so he's gone now.
This is why the return of Dedich, though, is so huge. It is absolutely huge. You cannot overstate the value of Dedich coming back.
And so so we believe, right, because he hasn't really played center as much in USC and in college. I know he was brought in as a top center, but he did not get a lot of those reps. It'll be interesting to see how well early. Thank goodness we have, again, an easy lineup, right? We got a little bit of a warm-up going through the season, giving that offensive line time to gel, to get to know each other. Dedich to, like we talked about, you could practice all you want, but it's those real game time reps that really matter. Let him get his feet wet a little bit, and then hopefully that line comes together. But another thing is I really believe in Josh Henson. I mean, this guy is a really awesome coach, proven coach. What a steal getting him from Texas A&M when Bedenbaugh did not come over with him from the Oklahoma Sooners staff. That was a coup to get him. I'm a bit surprised, but now we're hearing about the NIL and throwing money around, down in Florida State, Miami, and Oregon, throwing tons of cash at these kids. I was kind of bummed we didn't land some of those marquee guys that Rick will name, but I will not name. They're dead to me. I don't want to talk about them anymore. Landing a couple of them would have been great. But what Henson's doing, I think, is going to be amazing. And so I'm excited about the offensive line. I'm excited about the guys who came in, but I think we might have some early growing pains. So I hope fans stay a little bit patient, realizing it's going to take time for these guys to come together and gel.
Yeah, one important note in terms of like the early growing pains and being able to just work through those issues that are, likely to arise to some degree. One good thing, and again, like USC's schedule overall, it's a bear. It's going to be a very difficult schedule to handle in terms of a full 12-game platter. But one good thing, like it's generally unfavorable compared to 2022, of course. But the one really key plus for USC, you don't have a really thorny road trip early in the season. And that was the Oregon State game last season. Week 4, still pretty early in the journey. Was everybody going to figure it out enough to get through that test? In what has been historically a graveyard for USC teams, you don't have that kind of game. Like your big road game is Arizona State, early in the season. So, and I think that's going to be a much more manageable game than, compared to Corvallis, in terms of an early season road trip. So, in terms of having that really, there's always that game you circle on the schedule where, oh, that could be a real trap. That, we're walking into a hornet's nest, and USC doesn't have that kind of game this year, like compared to Corvallis last year. So, that should help the team to be able to just settle into the season and get to 6-0 heading into Notre Dame on Saturday, October 14th.
Yeah, and it's not as much the Murderers Row down the stretch as it would just been nice to have that bye week, maybe about 3 weeks later, right before that Notre Dame game. Having that bye week so early is going to be a bit weird, and that 9-game stretch is going to be pretty tough.